And the top story of the day, and the one that has broken my heart as well, following the death of a 27-year-old software engineer whose car plunged into a water-filled pit at a construction site in Noida's Sector 150. The Noida Authority CEO M. Lokesh has been removed from his post. Yuvraj Mehta, the 27-year-old engineer who drowned in a Noida ditch late on Friday, suffocated to death underwater and also suffered a cardiac arrest leading to his death. Meanwhile, after the NDTV Impact and Ground Reports and the First Channel to raise the voice against this injustice, the Uttar Pradesh government was forced to take action in the case. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has ordered an SIT probe into the accident. The SIT team has to submit the report in 5 days. The UP police have now registered a case against two builders, MJ Wishtown Planner Limited and Lotus Green Construction Private Limited, on a complaint by victim's family while denying negligence in the rescue operation. Following protests, the Noida Authority has installed barricades at the spot. But truth remains brutal. And let's tell you what exactly happened, the timeline of this brutal incident. At 12:30 a.m. on Saturday, Yuvraj Mehta negotiated a sharp turn near Noida Sector 150. Yuvraj's Grand Vitara, this was the car, Yuvraj's Grand Vitara then plunged into and crashed past this damaged wall that you see. Why it happened? Because there was so much smog. Remember, at night, in the midnight, you're driving, you don't see a wall which has no barricades, but because of the fog, you then crash into it. And that damaged wall leads you to a pit with 30 feet water. Now, due to fog, Yuvraj couldn't see it, and I beg your indulgence, but even I couldn't. So this is where the lapses have also taken place. This tragedy took place at 12:30 a.m. in the night on Saturday. The car fell into a pit with 30 feet water due to fog, and then Yuvraj wanted to save his life. He climbed the car's roof. He jumped out of the car, quickly climbed the roof, and from that shield area, sunroof, he climbed out of it and flashed his phone torch in one last effort that somebody will see him and save his life. Yuvraj then called his father, sent his WhatsApp location, told him, "Papa, mujhe bacha lo." But when every odd was against him, he was fighting for his life for about several minutes there on the top of this car. The rescue teams heard Yuvraj's cries, but they struggled to locate him. Firefighters tried using a crane which fell short. Imagine that travesty. The rescue teams were there. They couldn't rescue him because the crane that was supposed to help him was short. So short that a person over there fighting for his life couldn't come out and save himself, and the firefighters just stood there watching him. But then, at 1:45 a.m., a delivery agent who was passing by showed bravery and jumped into that freezing water. Remember, it's winters, there is fog, and the water there is cold. While Yuvraj is fighting for his life, asking for help, this brave delivery guy stops there, pauses his vehicle, and then jumps into the freezing water to rescue him, but only to drag Yuvraj's body at 4:30 a.m. on Saturday. This heartbreaking death has left many wondering what could have been done better to save him. My colleague Anushka also spoke to Yuvraj's family, a father's desperate fight to save his son. Yuvraj Mehta's father says his son survived for nearly 2 hours, stuck atop his sinking car, flashing his phone for help, calling people. Rescue teams arrived, but resources fell short. Yuvraj kept pleading, "Papa, save me." NDTV spoke with him. Let's listen into this account.
He was crying for help continuously and indicating his mobile torchlight to exactly display the exact location where he is. He also told me over the phone that he is on the roof of that car. He cleverly escaped from the inside of the car and came on the roof and lied on that roof so that there should not be any unbalanced position.
क्योंकि हम देख रहे हैं कि वहाँ पर कुछ बैरिकेडिंग्स इरेक्ट नहीं किए गए थे, नेटवर्क के काफ़ी ज़्यादा समस्या यहाँ पर बताई जा रही है। बहुत सारे लोगों ने हमको बताया कि यहाँ पर बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट्स जो हैं पुलिस के पहुँचने के बावजूद भी उस वक्त पूरी नहीं हो पा रही थी इस वजह से।
Right. I tried to call many people for help, but it could not happen. Very hardly I could connect few people, but that could not be communicated properly and the help could not come well in time.
While the anger is brewing, the heads have rolled, but the lapses which glare right in front of our eyes, the questions that are still lingering, and the anger which has forced everyone to think what could have been done that no other person suffers this misery. Let's talk about the lapses over here. Lapse 1 was no barricades were there around this pit which was filled with water. There were no warning signs before the pit which could have told you and I that there is a pit right after this area where we are taking a turn. Remember, he took a sharp turn. So there was no warning sign telling that there is a cut, there is a pit there, and if you drive too fast, you'll get into that pit. There were no lightings around, no warning signs were there, and the lapse, another one that was there was no lightings around waterlogged pit. Remember, it is one of the guidelines that there should be a highlighted area if under construction work is going on. There should be banner, there should be barricades, but there was nothing. Nothing there to tell you, Raj, that you have to stop here, you have to halt here, and you have to be careful or at least slow down sign. There was lapse 4, open construction pit near road turn. Remember, when you are taking a turn, there should be some indication that there is some work going on in the road. You need to have barricades, those yellow indicators, those reflectors that you see at night. There was none. The last lapse, and this has seen that there was an earlier accident. Remember, this is the one that has shock. This is sickening to the core. When earlier accident was reported at the same site, why was no action taken? Why was there no warning sign? Why did the authorities not realize that they need to put up some sign, some warning for us, for Yuvraj? Now Yuvraj is no more, but who'll answer? Is shunting a CEO of Noida Authority enough? No, we are asking for more action. We are asking for a precedent to be set so that such developments do not take place. For now, we are moving on to our stories which are tracking, but questions remain unanswered, and we will hope that UP government does answer them back. Shifting our focus now to Maharashtra, where fresh developments in the high-stakes BMC power tussle are taking place. Sources say that the BJP is confident of forming power in municipal corporations, including Mumbai, on the strength of its numbers. The party is eyeing the mayor's post and key panels, but won't rush decisions. The final call rests with Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, with announcements only after his return. BJP sources assert the party needs no support, won't bow to any pressure, and will not take Uddhav Thackeray on board. Meanwhile, sources from the Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena say the faction is firm on having its own mayor, calling it a tribute to Bala Saheb Thackeray on his birth cemetery. Optics played right, the political muscle flexed. Corporators are likely to remain housed in a hotel until the Chief Minister returns, with all decisions now resting with his deputy Eknath Shinde. Adding heat to the battle, UBT Sena MP Sanjay Raut has openly challenged the BJP, questioning its majority and alleging that Shinde Sena's corporators are being locked up, declaring Tiger Zinda hai. Sample the reactions.
कि हमारे पास शिवसेना, राज ठाकरे, कांग्रेस एंड अदर्स मिलकर हम भी 100 से ज़्यादा है, मोर देन हंड्रेड्स.
अच्छा,
ये भी आंकड़ा बहुत बड़ा है. आसानी से हम उनको सत्ता में नहीं आने देंगे. वो हमारा भी आंकड़ा है 4, बहुमत 4 का है सिर्फ. लक्ष्य ध्यान दीजिए आप. अगर उनके पास 114 है तो हमारे 108 है अपोजिशन में. तो सदन में आप बहुत बड़ा जंग दर दिन आपको दिखेगा.
नहीं, हमसे तो कुछ चर्चा हुई नहीं, तो हमें पता नहीं उन्होंने क्या कहा. हम तो हमारे प्रोग्राम में थे, हमारे कार्यकर्ताओं का, हमारे नगर सेवकों का सत्कार चल रहा था, और जिन्होंने काम किया उनको कैसे अभी कल परसों में क्या क्या रहेगा उसके ऊपर हम काम कर रहे थे.
TVK chief Vijay has appeared before the CBI headquarters in New Delhi for a second round of questioning in connection with the Karur Stampede case just a day before hearing resumes in the Jananayagan case. The actor turned politician was questioned for over 6 hours by the CBI. NDTV has accessed details from his questioning. Vijay was reportedly questioned as a suspect in the Karur tragedy and no one linked to the case has been given a clean chit yet. TVK's Nirmal Kumar also clarified that fresh summons have not been issued by the CBI against the party's chief. CBI, remember, is examining the sequence of events leading up to the tragedy in Karur that saw 41 deaths, including crowd management, coordination with local authorities, and the role of organizers. Sample the reactions coming in.
There has been a witness summon issued to our leader. This is the second day. Our leader came to appear based on the request by the CBI officers. And you know what has happened. The whole India, whole media, everyone knows who is responsible for this incident whichever happened in Karur. And definitely we are always here to cooperate the investigation agency. And we know like who was behind this, and the whole Tamil Nadu knows.
These agencies have been used against real opposition parties. I'm not talking about, sleeper cells and other things. I'd like to talk only about real opposition parties. They have been using government agencies against, it's not just Tamil Nadu, across the country.
India-Pakistan ties have always been shaped by conflict, politics and emotion. But today, it's not about diplomacy or defense in focus. It's fashion. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's grandson has tied the knot, and what the bride wore has set off an unexpected social media storm. Here's more. Take a look.
Wedding celebrations in Lahore have triggered a very different kind of debate. Mohammad Junaid Safdar, grandson of three-time Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, married Shanze Ali Rohail in a high-profile ceremony. For context, Junaid Safdar is the son of Maryam Nawaz Sharif, current Chief Minister of Punjab Province and the first woman to hold that office in Pakistan. This is also Junaid's second marriage, his first to Ayesha Saif Khan in 2021, which ended in divorce 2 years later. The flashpoint was the bride's fashion choice. For her mehendi, Shanze Ali wore Indian couturier Sabyasachi Mukherjee. For her wedding day, she chose a red sari by Indian designer Tarun Tahiliani. Images from the ceremony quickly went viral, and so did the reactions. Dialogue Pakistan, a citizen media portal, posted the first images, and soon the comments poured in. One user wrote, "No one is more pro-India than Pakistani politicians," arguing that Pakistani designers could have easily been chosen instead. Another commenter said she could have picked something more Pakistani, questioning the family's decision, especially given their political influence. Others pointed out the irony, one of Pakistan's biggest political families choosing Indian labels amid diplomatic tension. But not all reactions were negative. Some voices defended the bride, saying it was her personal choice and her big day. So while diplomats argue and armies mobilize, a wedding sari has sparked the latest India-Pakistan debate. NDTV Bureau Report.
NDTV's top editorial team is at the World Economic Forum in Davos. There's big geopolitical churn and bigger global implications. Donald Trump will be addressing the forum. What will Trump do and say in Davos? Here's the team decoding the big expectations from the World Economic Forum 2026. Take a look.
Days from now, Rahul, will the future of the relationship between America and Europe be defined?
You know, it's a cycle, Vishnu. You know, you're a long-time Davos watcher. A few months before Davos, it feels like the World Economic Forum is no longer as exciting as it used to be. The things are going down. Ab wo maza nahi hai. You know, life's moved on. And just as you build up to F, you know, the excitement starts to peak. Just the fact that you've got not just Donald Trump, but 6 of the G7 leaders coming, and that this is the biggest WEF that they've organized. And just look at the theme. The theme is a spirit of dialogue. This theme was locked in September, when to a lot of people it seemed very blasé, just like a spirit of dialogue. That's not very cutting edge, it's not very forward looking, it's not edgy. And suddenly, given what's happening around the world at the moment with Greenland, Iran, it just seems so prescient. And therefore, it's just one of those things that just comes together. And now what a showcase this is going to be. Not just the fact that Trump is here. He's doing a lot of meetings on the sidelines. He'll be here for 24 hours. And therefore, a lot of world leaders, business delegates coming in to meet with Trump. And the fact that he's coming on this platform, nobody has a clue about what he's going to say. A certain amount of anxiety around that. But then WEF is a platform. He comes and he says what he does. And the whole world will watch what happens through this week at WEF again.
Yeah. Can I just say that a little birdie has confirmed to me something which the Tamanna sort of got earlier on in the day, that there will be senior Indian business leaders meeting Donald Trump. It's not a one-on-one between Indian leaders. It'll be a huge conglomeration of international leaders, leading Indian industrialists. I can name them, but maybe I should not yet. Will be meeting him. But you pick that up, and that's important because that trade link really works out over here at the WEF.
So Trump is the headline no matter where you are in the world. We talk about Trump in Delhi, in Mumbai, and we're talking about Trump in Davos. But yes, for business leaders, I know that for a fact because a lot of meetings are getting switched up last minute to accommodate these meetings with Trump. And of course, everyone wants to hear his address on Wednesday. That's going to be the big one. But if I look at this Davos, and it seems like a party where everyone's invited and not a lot of the people like each other. Because think of what Macron has been posting about the 10% tariffs, Zelensky has been saying, and then they all come in one room. I mean, I wonder if they're going to talk to each other at all.